Hi, my name is Aaron Hofer. I'm actually working with Sean Neiman. We have the topic renewable energy, limitless potential. The definition from International Energy Agency is renewable energy is derived from natural processes that are replenished constantly. In its various forms, it derives directly from the sun or from heat generated deep within the earth. Included in the definition is electricity and heat generated from solar, wind, ocean, hydropower, biomass, geothermal resources, and biofuels and hydrogen derived from renewable resources. For the sake of this presentation, we will focus on 4 different sections of this. 1, solar energy, 2, hydropower, 3, wind energy, and 4, geothermal energy. According to the National Geographic, every hour that the sun beams onto our Earth is more than enough energy to satisfy our global energy needs for an entire year. Solar energy is the technology used to harness the sun's energy to make it usable. Today, the technology produces less than 1/10 of 1% of our global energy demand. The reason for that statistic will be explained in further detail on our slide explaining disadvantages of solar energy. Before we do that, let's discuss the advantages of solar energy. Solar energy is a clean and renewable energy source. With the exception of building the material in the factories, solar energy is pollution-free. Solar energy can be used in remote areas by providing electricity to those living in off-grid areas. Because it harnesses the sun's energy, it will last forever, whereas the world's oil reserves will not. Even better is the fact that the solar cells do not make noise, unlike the big rigs used for pumping oil, which are very noisy and oftentimes impractical. Solar cells are pretty much maintenance-free because of their durability and use of no moving parts. In the long run, you will have the potential for a high return on investment. It is estimated that the average household will see 50% of their energy coming in from solar panels. With all of the positives of solar energy, it seems there are some obvious disadvantages too. One of the obvious disadvantages is its dependence on sunlight. Without the exposure to sunlight, you will have to use batteries to store the energy for the times when sunlight is not available. Also, solar panels can be very expensive to install, resulting in a time lag of many years for saving on energy bills to match initial investments. Not only is the cost a big deterrent, but its inability to match the power output of similar-sized conventional power stations makes it that much harder to compete or replace our current infrastructure. Despite the drawbacks, solar energy use has surged at about 20% a year over the past 15 years, thanks to rapidly falling prices and gains in efficiency. Hydropower, also known as water power, is derived from the energy of falling water and running water, which may be harnessed for useful purposes. It is the largest renewable energy source for electricity in the United States. Some of the advantages to hydropower are its ability to avoid using fossil fuels and its design. Ideally, a dam should provide a constant energy for many decades. This source not only assists environment, but also the economy. The cost of electricity is less than electricity produced from fossil fuels and nuclear power. This is vividly seen as we watch the price of fuel continue to rise and fall, due to which the cost of electricity also keeps on changing, but due to rainfalls, the rate of hydroelectricity remains constant and does not increase much. Another advantage to dams is that they not only produce electricity, but also save and reserve water so that the water is not wasted into oceans and seas. If necessary, the water can be used for recreation. The closest resemblance to this would be Lucky Peak or Air Rock in our immediate area. On top of the activities, many dams turn into tourist attractions like the Hoover Dam. With all the advantages, there seems to be some glaring disadvantages as well. One of those is the disturbance of habitat. Anytime you have a project of that magnitude, you are changing the surrounding and potentially destroying the living beings around them. Local life is disturbed as humans can't live in such a flooded area and plants are destroyed. The fish are also affected because of the change in water flows and collection of nitrogen. This can have long-term effects on our environment and the surrounding habitat. Also, the building of large dams can cause serious geological damage. There are studies that support the evidence of earthquakes happening because of the Hoover Dam. Whether this is true or not, it does seem important to understand the amount of time and energy that goes into building a dam. Although modern planning and design of dams is good, in the past old dams have been known to be breached, which has led to deaths and flooding. I appreciate you all letting me go over the pros and cons of hydropower, and would like to finish this section off with a little video. The short clip I will be showing is a documentary called Damnation. I hope you guys enjoy.
I don't think FDR ever saw a dam that he didn't think should be built. It just really seemed like a great idea coming out of the Great Depression.
Like all constructed things, dams have a finite lifetime. And a couple decades ago, it was radical in terms of thinking that you could take a dam out. It was unthinkable. Go back 50 years, it was legitimately crazy talk. The conversation's changed.
Taking a dam out and opening up a watershed, reconnecting it with the fish that were there for hundreds of thousands of years, it gives you, a hope.
You can take half of a salmon fishery, eat it, and they'll keep replacing themselves. What kind of a species throws that away?
We as a country right now are infatuated with tearing things down.
Some people seem to have forgotten that before the era of dam construction, the endless cycle of withering droughts and violent floods constantly plagued our watersheds.
You're asking some nasty questions when you ask about a free-flowing Snake River. It'd be a lot of teardrops of joy to see that river running again.
There's a great good here that belongs to the American people that's being stolen by a very small corrupt branch of the federal government.
Yeah, I would advocate sabotage, subversion, as a last resort when political means fail.
Just because a dam has been sitting in a river for 200 years does not mean that it's going to stay there for the next 200.
Hi, my name is Sean Neiman, and I will be covering geothermal and wind energy. Geothermal energy is simply the heat from the core of the earth. It is entirely clean and sustainable. Some of the resources that we currently extract for geothermal energy are shallow groundwater, hot water below the surface, and hot rock that can be found a few miles beneath the Earth's surface. No matter where you are, the shallow ground and the 10 feet of the ground closest to the surface are the main sources for geothermal pumps. This is because the temperatures in this part of the surface stay a nearly constant 50 to 60 degrees, prime conditions to extract the resources necessary to both heat and cool buildings, for example. There are numerous geothermal sites within the United States with a high concentration of them located throughout the western half of the United States, along with Alaska and Hawaii. These sites offer a couple of great benefits. First, wells can be drilled in reservoirs for the specific purpose of generating electricity. Second, geothermal sites use the steam from reservoirs to power turbines and some generators, while the other plants utilize hot water to power those same turbines. Finally, any hot water located on the surface can be directly used for heat for things such as growing plants within greenhouses and many farming processes. From an economic viewpoint, geothermal power is the only type of renewable energy with the lowest cost for an energy source that can separate the fuel supply and its many components and offer benefits to the power grid and their corresponding power plants. Because this renewable energy source will never run out, it is the most reliable and can help stabilize the rising costs of power and electricity. Another impact that this source of renewable energy has is that it can easily be produced locally. Thus, it reduces the dependency on foreign oil while boosting local and small town economies. Last but not least is that the creation of a single geothermal plant can involve employing hundreds of people. Some of the disadvantages to geothermal energy is it's not widely used, making it that much harder to get equipment, staff, infrastructure, training, and most importantly, installation. The lack of expertise in this area is one of the biggest roadblocks to its success. Even if you possessed enough skilled workers, the installation costs are oftentimes too steep to make it worthwhile. These sites have the ability to run out of steam when temperatures drop or too much water is injected to cool the rocks. This can have a significant impact on those investing in the project. These projects are not suitable for all regions. They require areas with hot rocks below the earth and can produce steam over a long period of time. This is precisely why research is of the utmost importance if one decides to take on a project of this magnitude. Another reason some may choose to avoid investing or implementing such a project is the risk of emitting gases deep within the earth. Wind energy has been utilized for centuries, whether it's in the form of windmills pumping water in England or grinding up grain in the Midwestern United States. The modern-day version of yesterday's windmill is the wind turbine, which is used to harness the wind's energy and power to generate electricity. Wind turbines are typically mounted high atop a tower that allows it to capture the most energy possible. You will often see them all along the ridges of a mountain range where there is no resistance of other mountain ranges or anything that could possibly interrupt the capturing of its energy. At 100 feet or more above the ground level, a wind turbine can take full advantage of the faster winds, and there is less turbulence that way. What actually catches and harnesses the wind are the propeller blades attached to the tower, and each tower usually consists of 1 to 3 blades. The two most common applications of wind turbines are the standalone application, which is a tower on top of a mountain, or being connected to a power grid for a utility company. It has become more commonplace, however, for farmers, ranchers, and some homeowners in areas with high winds on a daily basis to use these turbines as their sole source for electricity. From the power grid perspective, a large number of wind turbines are built within a close proximity of one another to form a wind farm. These wind farms are sometimes often referred to as wind plants, are used quite a bit by electricity companies today to supply electricity to their customers. There are two obvious benefits from an economical standpoint with wind energy. First, there will be tremendous job growth and opportunities moving forward within this industry. Second, all future outlooks indicate that there will be other forms of wind energy developed that will revolutionize the way we get our energy and power, thus reducing the economic impact on everyone. As the wind energy industry as a whole continues to grow, there will be ample employment opportunities along the way. These careers will not be restricted to just those on a wind plant, but instead will take efforts from those in factories and offices to properly and efficiently build and operate turbines, while also looking for ways to enhance their production and develop alternative ways to utilize wind energy. In the field of wind energy, the industry has experienced rapid growth since 2009. According to the American Wind Energy Association, in 2000, installed wind energy capacity in the United States was under 3,000 megawatts. It is now over 35,000 megawatts, enough electricity to power approximately 9.7 million homes. As wind energy continues to grow, more wind plants are expected to pop up across the United States. According to a recent report, there is a strong likelihood that wind power will provide more than 20% of the U.S. electricity by the year 2030. Some of the disadvantages of wind energy is wind itself. If there's no wind, then there is no energy to be generated. Even though wind plants have a little impact on environment compared to other sources of energy, there is still concern over the noise produced by the rotor blades and the aesthetic impact of the area. Another problem associated with the rotor blades is the issue of birds flying into the blades.